So, with everything going on right now, one of the biggest areas that have really been hit hard are movie theaters and the entertainment industry. They've been kind of suffering, really. Movie theaters, I don't know if they're ever going to be able to come back. Things have started to slowly open when it comes to movie theaters. I've seen a lot of reports about drive-in theaters doing pretty good. But the fact of the matter is that people have been exposed to just watching movies at home when they just come out. And I think that there's going to be a big change in the movie industry, even when things get completely back to normal. Because you have a lot of studios now talking about, hey, we're going to release these on video on demand and streaming, and we're going to release them in the theaters. And this, of course, has made movie theaters upset. You've got AMC and a lot of the other big movie industry chains saying, yeah, we're just going to boycott your movies. We're not going to carry them, which is a lose for them. That's not the way to go about it. They need to offer a better service to get people to come out and go to the movie theaters. Now, here's the thing. I think people would still be willing to go to the movie theaters, but the problem is it won't be enough. It won't be enough if you just have people going to see Avengers and big movies. You know, one of the biggest reasons that movie theaters have been in trouble over the past couple of years is because a lot of the tentpole movies are becoming few and far in between, like Extraction for Netflix. That's a tentpole movie. Instead, it went straight to Netflix, and that's a problem. Well, Netflix, of course, paid for it and created it. They've been creating a lot of movies that have been pretty big hits. But my point is, like, movie theaters aren't willing to take the risk on movies so much anymore. And that means that a lot of the more experimental movies, more riskier movies, those are going to places like Netflix now and stuff like that. There's a lot of reasons behind what's going on with this stuff. It has very little to do with everything that's happened over the past couple of months. The way things were trending, even before, everything that's going on right now happened, movie theaters were still in trouble. Last year was a really big year for movie theaters. You had The Rise of Skywalker. Such a dumb title. Avengers Endgame, by the way, was the biggest movie of all time, money-wise, I believe. I think it's the highest grossing movie of all time. And still, even with all these big franchises, movie theaters had a record loss year or something. They didn't really do that well. And that's because the movies in between Rise of Skywalker and Endgame aren't that good, or not good enough to get people to come in to see them. Yeah, I'm forgetting about Joker too. I'm sorry. So in between, Endgame, Joker, and Rise of Skywalker, there really wasn't much in there. And you got a lot of weeks, in between all of those movies, and they need people to come into those movie theaters every day. And it's just not happening. So now, you've got movies like Scoob here and Capone and a lot of other movies pulling strong video on demand numbers, even with things opening back up. And it really brings the question to what are things going to look like, after everything clears up. And I wonder, will movie theaters survive? Now, I think they'll survive in a limited capacity, but I don't think that things are going to be quite like they were. Like, where just every town has a movie theater and stuff like that. If you really want to go to the movie theaters, you might have to drive an hour or so away to go to one. I think a lot of them are going to shut down. And with companies and studios putting their films on video on demand, I just don't see how they survive, especially when you can pay $10 or $20. The price seems to be about $20. Like Scoob, for example, went for $20 for a 48-hour rental. $20. And then $25 for an unlimited rental. I don't know what an unlimited rental is. So you rent it forever until they feel like cutting you off from it? What is it? How does that work? $20 is a lot, but you consider like 2 movie tickets is $20, and then the snacks for the concessions, right? Like you're going to be able to cook your own 50-cent bag of popcorn because what is a box of popcorn, like $4 or something? Compared to the movie theaters, where there's like $15 for a drink and popcorn. because that's where they make the majority of their money. So, you're saving more by not going. And I think, as people penny pinch, especially now because of the economy and how bad it's going to be probably for a year or two, I just don't see, I don't think movie theaters are going to pull it out. So the big new movie this week on VOD, which is video on demand, is Scoob. It's available solely on VOD platforms at the cost of $20 and for a 48-hour rental and $25 for unlimited rental. All three VOD charts list the animated movie at number 1 for numbers of transactions, not revenue. That's another thing. We're going to lose box office numbers. I don't know if they'll ever release those. Now, they gave us Trolls, but here's the significant thing. Trolls World Tour, and that's what started that whole civil war with AMC and everything. That movie did it did very, very well. They were considering that movie a success, and I think they said it made $100 million, like in its first week or something, and they're saying that Scoob is doing better. That means that this model is working. Warner's had intended to release the Hanna-Barbera feature in theaters, but moved it swiftly to VOD, where it clicked instantly, even faster than the April 10th PVOD launch for Trolls World Tour, which has remained high on the VOD charts. 3 weeks ago, it had been rented more than 95 million times in the U.S. With this apparent success, Warner Brothers might be expected to release some results, but unlike the theatrical box office, there is no established system for revealing immediate numbers. And that's shown here that Capone had a similar success. That was priced at $10. The standard, it's priced higher than the standard release, which I believe is like $6 for rental. But typically, the rental would come out, like 6 months or 3 months after it had been in the theater. So pricing is still not fully established here. We got $10 to $20. I think $20 is going to be the end of I think that's going to be the price point that a lot of these films go for. And then you'll see some of the smaller films go for 10. I really think that that's going to be the model. So a lot of these films are probably going to end up coming. You got people so I wonder if the Top Gun sequel and stuff like that, what are they going to do with those? Now, some people are saying we're not going to do this, but, I don't think they're going to have much of a choice. Hey, another fun fact here. We have some lists here, and there's some older movies on the Amazon Prime Fandango Now and Spectrum and iTunes charts, and Netflix. Oh, Netflix doesn't really count, but you know what's not on any of these lists? Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey. No one cares about that movie. It sucks. So here's another fun fact right here. We go over here. Variety has a nice little interesting poll. Study shows 70% of consumers would rather watch new movies at home. And this is, of course, an exclusive by them. And I say, well, yeah, that's obvious, right? Most people would rather sit at home. I like going to the theaters. I've said that before, going to the theaters is like an experience. You're going to the movie theaters, you're getting out of the house, stuff like that. But even as things open back up, people are going to be scared for a while to go to a movie theater. It's a little bit different than going out somewhere. You're sitting in a confined space, sitting directly next to people. I mean, you're looking at some weird decisions. Do you go at 25 to 50% capacity? Can movie theaters make money on that? Can they survive on that? There's a lot of weird choices coming up. I mean, a lot of movie theaters already cut down the amount of people that they could sell tickets to, because a lot of them putting in the big recliners and the huge seats and stuff. That took a lot of extra seats out of the theaters. So they were already down the amount of people that they could fit into a theater in most places because of those big lazy boys. So, I think there's a lot of questions here. Look at this chart. So this is, if it costs roughly the same, would you prefer to see a first-run movie you're excited about as a digital rental at home or in a movie theater if both were available at the same time? Right here, 13% says likely to watch at a theater, 17% says not sure, and then 70% more likely to watch at home. This is a devastating poll for the movie theater industry. It really is. It's a devastating poll for them. And I just don't know if they'll survive. Who knows how long people are going to be afraid of stuff and everything. And I don't know. You can even put it here. So this is how likely to attend a Broadway show in New York. Because this is actually, I think, a much better questionnaire that they used on people, whereas this one just asked straight up. So you could even almost kind of mold this into the other one. 51% say they'll go in a few months. 16% say they may never go back, right? 33% say they will go in a few weeks right away. That 51% that say they'll go in a few months and that 16% that say they may never go again, that's pretty devastating. And I think a lot of this can be tied into the movie theater industry as well, because it's roughly almost, well, you're going to a show, you're still sitting crowded next to people and so on and so on. So I really wonder, what is the future for the movie theater industry? I've really been curious about this because, we've never seen anything like this before. And I just wonder, will they be able to rebound? Because time is kind of the essence. These places have been sitting vacant for 2 or 3 months now. No one's been at the movie theaters. And now you have studios really raking in that money from not having theaters, open. They make more money on the streaming service. I think they get like 80% of the take home versus a lot less at a movie theater. So, I really wonder, because they're already saying we're going to do both. Doing both is devastating to an already crippled industry. So I wonder, what does the future look like for them? I guess we'll find out. I'm interested to what you guys think. Are you willing to go back to the theaters? Would you be open to that? Do you think they'll survive? What are your guys' thoughts on this? I'd really like to hear it. Also, share the video, please. Throw a like up. Make sure you still subscribe. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that notification bell. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out. Also, take a moment. Make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. There's something going on right now, and they've been unsubscribing people. So just take a second and double check on that, and subscribe if you're new.